Hey, and welcome to Math. This is Mr. Gable, and here are the things you're going to need. It's our usual lineup. You're going to need your iPad, your math notebook, that's our blue one, and your practice and record journal, and then a pencil. All right, so let's get started. And remember, as you go through this video, you want to watch for that little symbol right here that says Add to Notebook. I know it's there a lot, but you're preparing your notes for your test. So volume of rectangular prisms is our title in our notebook today. So go ahead and add that to your notebook and make sure you're adding that to your table of contents as well. And while you're doing that, our learning target is today you will work to have a better understanding of how to calculate the volume of rectangular prisms. All right, so let's jump right in. So when you hear volume, what do you think of? All right, so when I hear volume, I think a lot about like liquids more than anything, because I think the volume of like a gallon container, and I hold a gallon container, and that gallon container is something that I picture when I think of volume, because it's the space inside. Also think about that with liter bottles or 16-ounce bottles, water bottles. All of those have a volume. So for me, it's usually when I think of liquids. So when might you want to know the volume of an object? And then what kind of units are used to measure volume? So think of that as well. All right. Let's keep going. So today, simply want you to just practice this. And you might say, well, why are we doing this? Length, width, and height, that is the formula to find volume, to multiply those three units together. So practice this, especially with 5 and 6. So pause the video, do these 6 problems in your notebook real quickly, and then hit play when you're ready to go on. Okay, so I want to show you how to do this problem, and you know how to do this problem. Numerator times numerator times numerator. So you'd get 2, and then down here you'd get 2 times 3 is 6, and times 4 is 24. So you get 2 24s. But there is a better way. If I see that these two have a massive relationship, because 2 goes into 2 and 2 goes into 2, I can factor that 2 out now. And then as I multiply, I have 1 times 1 times 1. And then and that would be for my numerator. So that would give me 1. And then I would have 1 times 3 times 4. So then I'm left with 1/12. So that cross-reducing early on, or factoring out, I could also say that 2 is a factor of 2, so I could take 2 away from 4 too. But 2 and 2, those are obvious, so I went with that one. You can try that one on number 6 if you actually didn't do number 6 yet, and then I'll see you on the next slide for some answers. All right. Okay, so here are your answers. So 64, 108, 1500, 210, 1/12 as we explored. And then this one has some same things where you could cross-reduce that 3. You can also cross-reduce the 2 and the 4. And then you don't have to reduce the fraction as much or at all when you are all done with it. Okay. So tell whether volume applies to this situation. A, wrapping paper is used to wrap a gift. Nope, that's surface area. Milk poured into a glass. So we're filling something up, we're talking about the volume. Absolutely. Air needed to blow up a ball. Yep, that air takes up space. All the air around us takes up space. And so when we put that air into a bike tire or into a ball, we inflate it, it fills that space up. So yep, that's volume. Fabric for making a quilt, that's area again. And then how much will fit into a suitcase? Yeah, I'm always amazed at how much will fit into a suitcase. Anyway, so just try to think of another one that you might want to apply. You can write that in your notebook, okay? Another situation that might apply to volume. All right, moving on. So let's go ahead and find the volume. So let's also make sure that we know the formula for volume. Okay, so the formula is right down here that volume equals length times width times height. Now, don't get that confused with surface area. Surface area, we're finding the space along each surface, okay, each face, each base, etc. But with this, we're finding the space inside. So to do that, we work with the three dimensions: length, width, and height. So let's also talk about this would be length, this would be width, and this would be the height. So if you're asked to label something, you'll know how to do that. Go ahead and do these 4 problems in your notebook, and I'll see you on the next slide. Okay, so after completing that work, here's what you should have: 9/40, 4/9, 1/12, and 1/56. And those are all in units cubed. Now we're cubed because we're working with 3 dimensions, so make sure you're keeping that straight as well. All right, so here's another place for you to practice. Go ahead and do that. Do this in your notebook, and then I'll have answers for you in just a second. Okay, so here is what we've done with this first one, is we've gone ahead and we wrote the formula out. Length times width times height. I think that's always good, because then, as you've heard me say in class, it's plug and chug. So now I can just put 7/8, 1/2, and 5/8 into my equation, my formula. And when I multiply straight across the top, I get 35 over 128. So that is the volume in cubic meters. Okay. And then this last one here we have, again, the formula written out. We've put in the 3 dimensions, 27/8. Now that is what type of fraction? That's right. It's an improper fraction, and those are easier to spot because the numerator is larger than the denominator. So we're going to go ahead and divide 8 into 27. That goes 3 times with 3 left over. So 3/8 remain, 3 and 3/8. So the volume is 3 3/8 cubic inches. All right. That's a good problem. Here's another 2 for you to practice on, A and B. I've got answers for you after you do that work for yourself in your notebook. Okay, so here are your answers. Here's what the work should have looked like. You're multiplying out those 3 dimensions in each problem. This one again gives you an improper fraction, 75 over 32, which is 2 and 11/32, and that's in cubic feet. And here, this one does not give you an improper fraction. It's 216 over 343 cubic centimeters. Okay, cubic centimeters. Here's another 2 for you to practice with, and I've got answers on the next page. Do this work in your math notebook. Okay, here are your answers here. You multiplied these 3 dimensions by themselves, and you got 2/3. And here you got 27 over 64. Let's keep it rolling. So now here we switch to a different type of volume problem. So 1 cubic foot of dirt, so they're telling us this weighs 70 pounds. So how many pounds of dirt can the dump truck haul when it is full? Okay, well, first we've got to find out how many cubic centimeters or cubic meters are in this dump truck. So let's take a look. So we took length times width, cubic feet, excuse me. Length times width times height. So 17 times 8 times 4 and 3/4. And we're left, that leaves us with 646. And that would be feet cubed. And so the dump truck can haul that much cubic feet. Now remember that 70 pounds is equal to 1 cubic foot. So we're going to do a little dimension analysis here. We're going to set that 646 feet. We're going to set it over 1. And we're going to multiply that times 70 pounds per cubic foot. So now that's important to have those diagonal from each other, because now our units of cubic feet, they cross out. And now we can just multiply 646 times 70, and we get 45,222 pounds. Yeah, that's a lot. So the dump truck can haul that amount of weight when it is full. Okay, so there again, just look how we set up that problem. Make sure you have that written in your notebook so you can see that, because you're going to be seeing these in homework and also in another problem in just a minute. All right, so if the length of the dump truck is now 22 feet, how many pounds of dirt can the dump truck haul when it's full. So you're going to do this one the same way, and then when you are all set, go ahead and pause and do the work. All right, so remember that we have that 70 pounds. We're going to take the 22 times 8 times 5. That gives us 880. That's 880 cubic feet. We're going to set that equal to 70 pounds times 1 cubic foot over 1 cubic foot. We're going to cross out those units of cubic feet. And now when we multiply, we're getting the straight up weight. So in this case, because the dump truck was a little longer, it held 61,600 pounds. Whew, that's a lot. All right. So here is yet again another different problem. Here you have a missing dimension. So you have length, width, and you don't know the height, but we are told the volume. So if we do write out the formula, where volume is equal to length times width, then we can plug in what we do have. So when we plug that in, the volume is 1,792, and that would be inches cubed. And then we have 16 times 7, and we don't know h. So we're going to solve for h because that's what we want to know. So we multiply the 16 times 7, we get 112. We're going to divide each side by 12, and then that will tell us what the height is. All right, so when we do that work, we're left with 16. So 16 is the height. All right, and that really helps us out to define that missing dimension. Please make sure you copy that into your notebook, because that's a type of problem, again, that you'll see homework, test, quiz coming up. All right, Mp3 player. So an Mp3 player, I don't know if you guys still use these, but the iPod Touch, there's just the iPod with still has MP3, so just music on it, and it's your tunes. You can set that up. Okay, so that's what an MP3 player is. But now let's take a look at what is. So we want to solve the equation to find the height of the MP3 player. So go ahead. You can sketch out the MP3 player. You can just use these 3 dimensions and set it up just like we did with the computer. Do this in your notebook, and I'll see you in a second. All right, so here's our MP3 player. We know the volume, so there's our V, and we know the length, and we know the height, or excuse me, we know the width, and we don't know the height. Same thing. We multiply that out. We divide both sides by 2.4 to find what the height is equal to, and the height is in 9 centimeters. So that's just centimeters because that's just the one dimension. All right, make sure you have those 2 examples in your notebook because they'll be really important. All right, moving on. We're here at the end of our lesson, so go ahead and do these 4 problems, or excuse me, 3 problems, and pause the video, and if you can get all 3 of these right, then you're really ready. You're really knowledgeable about this, how to do this work, and you're good to go for homework. All right, or big ideas work. Okay, pause the video, and I'll see you in a second with some answers. Okay, so you should have multiplied these 3 dimensions out and gotten 19.5 feet cubed. And then multiplying these 3 dimensions out, we get 16/21 centimeters cubed. And then the volume of the cell phone is 75 cubic centimeters. Write the volume and solve the equation to find the height of the cell phone. So the height then is what we're again missing, and we know the volume and we know the length and the width. So we want to find that height. We set that all equal to each other, and we are left with 1.6 centimeters. Okay, so if you did those 3 right, you're doing really, really well, and you're ready to head on to your homework and big ideas. If there's anything that was unclear or you missed, please go back in the video, figure that out, watch again, pause, do the work in your notebook. Okay, I hope you're taking great notes. I know most of you are, so thank you and keep up that great work. All right, thank you. Bye now.